In this series, I'm sharing the same lessons I teach my students at Stanford and that we use every day in my business at Alpine. And today's topic is about how to have hard conversations. One of the most important and underrated skills in life and business is your ability to have difficult conversations. The people who master this one skill, having hard conversations, are the ones who build deep connections, grow their careers, and actually get what they want in life. I'm going to talk about why these conversations are so important, why they're so hard, and then how to have them. So save this video and come back to it, because if you want to succeed in any facet of your life, you're going to need this skill. Have you ever avoided telling a friend they hurt you because you didn't want to make it awkward, or bit your tongue at work instead of asking for a raise because you were scared of rejection, or ignored a problem in your relationship until one day everything just exploded? We sometimes think that we're being kind or compassionate by avoiding these really hard conversations, but exactly the opposite is happening. The truth is that avoiding these conversations is actually what ruins relationships, holds you back, and keeps you stuck. Renowned psychologist John Gottman, who studied relationships for over 40 years, concluded that the biggest predictor of divorce isn't conflict, it's the inability to navigate it. And studies show that the most successful teams aren't the ones with the smartest individuals, but they're those teams that can communicate the most effectively, especially in difficult conversations. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to share a few tools that'll help you avoid the most common pitfalls in difficult conversations, and then some tools to show you how to navigate them much better. Remember, the only way out is through. So we need to have these conversations. So let's dive in. I'm going to pick a really simple example that most of us have experienced at some point, which is we have a close friend who has a pattern of not texting us back. Yes, I know it's a simple example, but it's one that will really illustrate these tools that I'm talking about. Let's talk about what not to do. And I think you'll start to see why some of these conversations can be so difficult. So the first thing to not do is let's not panic. A big trend you see on social media is if someone doesn't text you back, they say, choose yourself and leave that person behind and block them, unfollow them, and ghost them. And now that ultimately may be where you end up, but instead, let's first just show up like an adult and address the elephant in the room. And I actually bet the better probability is that that person has no idea how their behavior is impacting you. So let's start with that. So mistake number 2 is being passive aggressive. So this person does text you back eventually. If they say, hey, I'm sorry for the delay, and then you wait 3 days to text them back, you'll show them, right? But now you're actually just engaging in the exact behavior that bummed you out. And there's an old expression, which is hurt people hurt people. So let's not do that. Let's be the bigger person. Mistake number 3 is when people go on the offensive and they just light into the person. So they might say something like, you're so rude, you never text me back, you treat me so badly. And there's 2 problems with this. The first is you're using hyperbolic statements like you never and you always. They're going to invite the other person to just fight back. And secondly, insulting the person, saying something like you're so rude is going to put the person on the defensive. So don't use hyperbolic statements and don't attack the person. So here's a formula for how to actually have these difficult conversations, and we're going to walk through it just step by step. So the first step is really setting the right tone. Approach this conversation calmly and with curiosity. Assume there's a reasonable explanation, give the person the benefit of the doubt rather than jumping to conclusions. You might just say something like, hey, Emily, I just wanted to check in about something that's been on my mind. This is a neutral opening and sets the stage for a real conversation and doesn't put the person on the defensive. Step 2, don't attack the person. Instead, just state the behavior that happened very clearly and stick to the facts. So an example would be, I've noticed that in the last few times I texted you, it took several days to hear back from you. Why this works? Because you're not attacking the person, you're just talking about the behavior first. And secondly, you're sticking to facts, so you're not hyperbolizing the behavior. The third step is share how it makes you feel. And in this step, it's really important that you're really only talking about yourself and you're not attacking the other person. So an example of this might be, hey, Emily, when you do that, it makes me feel like I'm really not that important. The reason that this works is you're not attacking the other person or blaming them. You're really just talking about your own feelings. And your friend can understand the impact that their actions had on you without feeling accused. Step 4 is to create safety and show good intentions. So what you want to do is you want to reaffirm the relationship and remind them why you're even bringing this up. So an example of this might be, Emily, the reason I'm bringing this up is that I really value our friendship and I don't want something small like this to create any distance between us. And the reason this works is you're making it clear that your goal is connection and deepening the relationship, not conflict. So your friend is a lot less likely to feel attacked and more likely to engage with you when they feel safe. The next step is invite a conversation. So rather than demanding a change or making assumptions, why don't you open the door to hear their perspective? There's a great Stephen Covey quote that says, seek first to understand and then to be understood. So let's just go to hear Emily's side of the story. And you could do something as simple as, so I just want to check in and see if everything's okay. The reason reason this works is you're not making assumptions and you're giving Emily a chance to really share her story. Who knows? Maybe she was out of town for 3 days or her phone was broken or whatever, and you're giving her a chance to explain without the pressure of feeling attacked. So the next step is propose a reasonable ask. And I think the mistake people make here sometimes is they're a little bit vague or they're a little too extreme. So try something really simple like, hey, Emily, in the future, if you're too busy, do you mind just shooting me a note and telling me you'll get back to me in a couple days? That way I know you got your text and everything's okay. The reason that this works is it's very doable. It doesn't make us extreme demand. It gives them something simple and tangible that they can do and take from the conversation. So the final conversation, putting it all together, might look something like this. Hey, Emily, I just wanted to check in about something that's been on my mind. I noticed the last few times that I texted you, it took you a few days to respond. And when that happens, I feel a little bit less important in your life and maybe that I'm investing a little bit more in the relationship. And I'm bringing this up because I really value our friendship and I don't want something small like this to create any distance between us. So I just wanted to check in and see if everything's okay. In the future, if you're really swamped, do you think you could send me a quick text just letting me know you got my message and you'll get back to me in a few days? That would really help. I know this example of texting is a small example, but the structure actually will work with just about any conversation. So to recap, you're going to be direct, but you're going to be kind. You're going to focus on the behavior and not the person. You're going to share how it made you feel. You're going to create safety with the person by reaffirming how important the relationship is to you. You're going to also ask questions and invite a dialogue so they can share their side of the story without you making a whole lot of assumptions or attacking them. You're going to be clear on a very small ask that you're asking for from the person in this conversation. And then you'll end on a positive note, letting them know you're okay and thanking them for the conversation and reaffirming your relationship. The most important part about difficult conversations is to have them, because the alternative to that is you could build up resentment and actually end up making any relationship worse. Learning to have hard conversations is one of the most important skills you can build both in your personal and professional relationships. Here's the thing that most people miss. Having a hard conversation is actually the most compassionate thing that you can do. Even if it feels awkward, even if you're afraid you might hurt someone's feelings, avoiding the conversation may feel easier in the moment, but in the long run, it's going to create distance in your relationships. Clarity is kindness. If there's a conversation you've been avoiding, then this is your sign to have it, not to win, not to be right, but just to try to move forward in that relationship. If this hits home for you, or there's a conversation that you've been putting off, drop it in the comments or send this video to someone who might need it.